Welcome back, and now let's start the program in earnest by looking at ways through which we can diversify our economy. We're talking a lot about that. Oil supply is dwindling. Even the little that we have, the price is not anything to write home about. So we need to not just talk about diversifying, we need to actually begin to diversify. And one of the avenues through which we can achieve that is
farming.
Wait for it. Not just farming.
No.
Bee farming. And you're asking, bee?
Yeah. Don't get stung.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to learn a lot about that this morning, and we're going to learn how you can actually make money from rearing bees, collecting their honey, without getting stung. Annie Basieyo is CEO of Lani Group and co-founder Say Hi Foods. Good morning.
Good morning, Alera.
And he's come along with the head of operations, Edwin Aguda. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, let's start from where he chose to start from, this stinging part. How do you work with bees and rare bees in the quantity that you all do, and you don't get stung?
Well, good question. So I don't get stung because even when I do an oversight visit, I would wear a proper outfit.
Ah.
Yeah. But the way we work, like you did raise a very poignant question, which is how do you rear to ensure you meet the sort of supplies that you need to achieve. And beekeeping is very fragmented in Nigeria. It's very much done at the grassroots. So the way we have at Say Hi Foods, it's to set up an outgrower scheme, cooperatives. So we have cooperatives set up in 3 of the geopolitical zones where we're sourcing directly from the communities. So we build up the capacity at the very, very granular level. These are women farmers, these are grasshold economic holders who sometimes are not just beekeepers, but they are also farming yams and tomatoes or whatever particular crop. So we've set up our grower scheme at that very granular level, who then supply into our co-op structure.
I see. So they are beekeepers among other things that they do. It's not the only thing that they do.
In Nigeria, you'd find that people who are in the beekeeping occupation, as it were, either do it for passion, or are farmers in Nigeria are diversified. So people farm tomatoes, they farm yam, they farm maize. And beekeeping is usually an added on to it because the harvesting of honey and the bee products, bee byproducts, is not something that occurs all through the year. It's something that happens 3 times. And then with beekeeping, you're not really having to spend time to cultivate the farm, as it were. You know, if you're growing yams or tomatoes, it's something that you have to keep doing the ridges, you have to water it, etc. That's very dissimilar in this particular value chain. So it tends to be an additional source of income, and hence the need for us as a government, as an economy, the private sector, public sector, to focus more on that particular value chain because it's got far-reaching impact. You have beekeeping. You can collect. There's beekeeping activities in every part of the country. You can collect bees here in Arepo. You can do it in Calabar. You can do it in Kaduna. So there's an opportunity to scale up at such an exponential level, and hence why we at Say Hi Foods have gone into this value chain. We're working at the grassroots with co-ops, so we don't need to do everything. We're more like a processor aggregator, and we do own our farms.
Collector.
Collector, without getting stung, yeah.
Okay. I actually wrote down something. It said, harvesting of bees or honey takes place 3 times in a year. And you've said it can happen across the country. But the question, we're not leaving you out. We'll come back to you. Or maybe I should give you this question. How is it that when you talk about diversifying the economy, you're thinking about a process that happens just 3 times a year and is so dangerous that if you ask 10 people, how many of you will go into beekeeping? I bet you less than 3 will raise their hand in 10. So how would that help the economy?
Thank you. Good questions. I would say clearly beekeeping, as you said, will be dangerous, you say, because of the bee stings, but we've got protective wears. The protective garment will actually protect you from getting stung by the bees. So what we do is actually train the farmers. If you're going to go into beekeeping, we'll definitely have to get you through the training. When you get the training, before you can go into the wild and begin to do your harvesting.
How long is the training?
Usually the training will take you 2-3 months. The third month is actually when you set up your hive, and because you have to do the preparations, you have to do your site selection, you have to observe to see that the beekeeping environment is quite conducive. The bees will definitely want water to drink. They'll also need vegetation, flowers, and even the petty shrubs. What happens is that during the year, all through the year, you find fruiting plants at particular seasons. So the flowering plants will produce flowers during the on season, where the fruits are about to be made. And then after that, they go dry. They don't find flowers anymore. So the bees will need to survive on that. They now go back to actually feed on the daisies, the petty shrubs. So you have to site the environment properly. Your selection is very key. If not, it won't be successful. So we do train our farmers on how to do the selection and also make use of your protective wears. That will actually enhance your harvesting procedure because you get the best harvest in the first season, which is in the first quarter of the year. The second and the middle, not so heavy. And towards the end of the year, you have also in December, the next harvest.
No.
Right.
So,
No stinging.
Nobody gets stung. So you have your protective wears.
now, the site probably will be free. I mean, the land you get, probably free. But the training, probably free or you pay a token. The gap, you definitely pay for that. The question, the other side of the question was, how can beekeeping help the Nigerian economy diversify? What are those products from the bees that should help our economy diversify?
Right.
And I'm sure they cost a tidy sum too.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So I'll tell you, this is a business you can run. You don't have to be present on the farm all through. So it's some business you can actually engage in that by setting up the hives. You don't need to be there every day to look after this. And I can assure you a single hive will give you over 20 liters of honey. And 20 liters of honey will definitely fetch you a very reasonable amount of money. However, if you expand the number of hives you have per harvest, and you can have the same harvest in over 3 occasions when you go back to the hives.
That's 60 liters.
60 liters in a year. And if you happen to set up 10 of this, and you have 60 by 10,
That's 600.
so
liters.
that's 600 liters.
Are we exporting any honey?
Definitely you will have to. Presently, there are actually restrictions for export into the EU because we're actually looking out. We have to ensure, we look at the residual effect. If you have residue in your product, actually, I don't think it's met of the quality standards that have to be met before you export. So we've actually been able to look at this and research has gone on, and I will be very, very keen and particular about quality of the product we make in Nigeria for us to export. If we look at the regulatory body here in Nigeria, SON has been doing a great job to actually ensure quality standards here. We do have the standards for honey here in Nigeria. So I would say...
What, are you saying that we're not exporting any yet?
We
are not.
We are exporting some honey, but you see, you need to look at the jurisdictions of export. So if you're looking at the EU has one of the most stringent import, because I'm looking at it in that perspective. You're exporting to the EU, they have got very stringent guidelines. And unfortunately, Nigeria is not on one of those countries that can bring in products into the EU, particularly honey. So one of the things that needs to happen, and which I think is in the press this week, is like what Edwin has just said now. It's about residual monitoring plans. And at Sehai Foods, for instance, we are almost at that ready, where we'd be almost ready to export into the EU once that embargo is lifted, because we have built very strong, robust quality assurance down to the farm level. So we know where each liter of honey is coming from. We know the farm. We understand the peculiarities of the environment. We trace at site, and in the lab is that, are there things like chlorophenicol, which are things on the EU list. Are there